Hi everybody. I happened to read this brilliant short story. One of my friends sent it to me and said he wanted to talk about it. I read the story and it just blew my mind. So I thought I'll quickly share the story with you. The story was written by Isaac Asimov and it was written in the 1950s. Okay, so I'll dive right into the story. The story starts in 2061, and the characters are Adele and Lupo. Okay, so Adele and Lupo are attendants of Multivac, which is the supercomputer of 2061. So Multivac is so sophisticated and complex that no single human being knows the functioning of Multivac in its entirety, right? So people know parts of it, but nobody knows the complete functioning. Okay, Adil and Lupo are the closest to knowing the entire functioning of Multivac. So they are kind of the smartest people in humanity in 2061. Okay, so this supercomputer is solving problems like how to move to Mars or how to move to Venus, the trajectories and all that. The biggest problem that is facing humanity is the problem of energy. Okay, so humanity is exhausting coal, humanity is exhausting uranium at a rapid pace, at a scary pace. So all of humanity is trying to solve this one problem of energy. Okay, 2061 is a landmark year because Multivac actually cracks this problem. Okay, so it finds a way to power the entire earth using stellar energy, the energy from sun. Okay, so the whole of humanity is celebrating. There are weeks of celebrations, and uh, once all these celebrations are settling down, Adele and Lupo, they both meet in the basement of Multivac. Multivac has different levels and it spans across miles. Okay, so they meet at this basement. They wanted to celebrate together, so they have this bottle of alcohol and they are drinking. So once they are half drunk, Adele in excitement, he says, "It's amazing what Multivac has done. It has solved this problem, and we now have unlimited energy for free forever. So it's just brilliant." And Lupo is like, "No, we haven't solved this problem forever. We have solved this problem for billions of years, but that is not forever." And Adele's like, Lupo is such a party pooper because what Adele is trying to say is we don't have to worry about that in this lifetime. So Lupo is like, you don't have to worry about coal and uranium in this lifetime, right? Uh, then he says, Lupo says entropy is increasing. Entropy is increasing and humanity has to solve this problem at some point. So Adele is just not able to buy this fact. He's not able to take this fact, and he thinks that there should be some way to reverse entropy. Lupo is very certain. He says no, entropy cannot be reversed. So Adele says, okay, we'll ask Multivac, and they have a bet. They have a bet of $5, and they ask Multivac uh, whether entropy can be reversed. After some time, Multivac gives the answer. It says insufficient data for a meaningful answer. Okay, so Lupo wins his $5, and they both get sloshed. The next morning, they both wake up. They don't even remember the question, and they both go about their everyday lives. Okay, the first story ends there. The story then moves to a spaceship with a family in it, a dad, mom, and two kids. Okay, so they are leaving planet Earth to move to X-23, planet X-23. Okay, so leaving planet Earth for good, and it is the first hyperspace travel for the kids. Okay, so the dad is staring at a screen and suddenly he says, okay, we've almost reached X-23. So everybody is there's this small celebration within the spaceship, and the kids are like, our microvac is the best microvac. Okay, so the dad leans backwards and he looks up, he starts up, and microvac, the length of microvac is about half of this ship, and it's just 1 feet wide. And it's amazing what it does. It navigates them through hyperspace. It figures out how to get the energy from the solar stations and all that. Okay, so the name of the dad is Gerard. Okay, in Gerard's dad's generation, they only had these planetary ACs. So planetary ACs spanned over thousands of miles. That is how huge they were. And what microvac is doing is is similar to what planetary ACs are doing, but they've become so compact. Okay, so AC is basically automatic computer, and in that time they say it is automatic computer in ancient English. Okay, so so he kind of acknowledges the power of microvac, and while he's thinking about all this, Gerardette, the mother, she says, I can't believe we are leaving Earth. And Gerard is like, what do you even think of Earth? We don't have anything left there. It's super polluted. It's extremely populated. So it's just meaningless to stay there. And X23 has a million people already, and it's not like you're a pioneer. They already have a million people. They've figured out everything. We just have to go and settle. So, and he says it is likely that our grandchildren will have to figure out the next planet, right? So Zerodet is like, yeah, I think humanity will have to keep moving from planet to planet forever. And the dad says no, not forever, because entropy is increasing, and it's a finite game. And the kid comes and asks, Dad, what is entropy? So he beautifully explains it to the kid. Okay, so he says entropy is the rate at which we are running down. Okay, rate at which the energy of Earth is running down. The kid doesn't understand. So he says, we recently changed the battery of your robo, right? Because the battery ran down. And the kid says, okay, we replaced it with a different battery. And the dad goes on to explain that all of our power comes from stars. Star is our only power unit, and eventually the stars will run down. Is the simplistic definition that the dad gives to the kid. But the kid gets super scary. What kind of dad tells the kid who's going on the first hyperspace journey that all stars are going to run down and there is going to be a dystopic it's all going to end. So the kids get super scary. They start throwing a tantrum and they are like, Dad, please please do something, don't let the stars run down and all that. Zerodet is visibly angry. The mother is visibly angry with the dad's answer, and the dad in an effort to pacify the kids, he says, okay, it's only dad who doesn't know the answer. Maybe we'll ask the Microvac knows all answers. So he asks Microvac, and he tells the kids, okay, Microvac says we'll figure the answer out when the time comes. There is no need to panic. Okay, so the kids kind of buy the story because they know the Microvac is smart, but actually the Microvac gives the same answer: insufficient data for meaningful answer. Okay, that story ends there. So if you look at it, the first story was around the energy problem, and the second story is around the population problem. So the next story starts after 20,000 years or something. So there are two people who look like they are in their 20s, and their names are very interesting. Their names are VJ2X4 or something. For simplicity, we'll just keep it as VJ and MG. Okay, so VJ and MJ are trying to file a galactic report. They have to prepare a galactic report, and they have to give it to the Galactic Council. Okay, and the report is about how we can sustain human population because it's exploding. Okay, so MJ is this person with the concern. VJ says, okay, we'll figure it out. There are billions of galaxies. If this galaxy is going to run down in 5 years, we'll figure out the next galaxy. There are billions of galaxies out there, and MJ is like, billion is still finite. And he goes on to explain that only 20,000 years back we figured out how to use stellar energy, and a few centuries later we figured out interstellar journey, traveling from one star to different star. But we took a million years to populate one world, but we only took 15,000 years to populate an entire galaxy. And right now we are doubling in population every 10 years, which means in the next 10 years we would have exhausted 2 galaxies. In the next 10,000 years we would exhaust the whole of universe. That is the pace at which we are growing. Okay, so VJ says, okay, we'll have to thank immortality for it. And MJ says, yes, we have to consider that also. We have become immortal. So then they have this AC, this automatic computer called Galactic AC. So MJ goes on to explain that Galactic AC has solved so many problems for humanity, but by solving this problem of death, it has undone all the other solutions. So this has brought humanity to a very precarious state. Okay, so MJ also explains how we will run out of power before we run out of galaxies, because if every 10 years 2 galaxy we are doubling also. So at this pace we'll have to keep transporting these population from one galaxy to the other. So there has to be so much transport, and we need all energy. So again they come to this problem of entropy. So now we have both the problems, the problem of energy and the problem of population. So they ultimately go down to this question of whether entropy can be reversed. And VJ says, maybe we'll figure out a way. Maybe we will figure out a way to create new stars for energy. And MJ says it's just not possible. Okay, the whole all these stories have this super intelligent pessimist and this intelligent optimist. Okay, so that is how this dynamics works. So MJ asks, can you take smoke and ash and make it into a tree? You cannot do that, right? So but before that, VJ has already asked the question to the galactic AC, and they're just waiting for the reply. And the reply is as usual, insufficient data for a meaningful answer. Okay, so now they'll have to give the report to the Galactic Council. So they go about that journey. So the story ends here, and the next story starts with Z Prime. Z Prime is the character here, and Z Prime is traveling through space. He's exploring a particular galaxy, which he's exploring it for the first time. Okay, so here only his mind is traveling. His body is suspended in some place in a lab or something which is powered by eons, and only his mind can travel in the hyperspace. Okay, so human beings there are trillions and trillions of ageless bodies who are suspended in these eons, and only their minds can travel freely. Okay, there is no time bound because they are immortal and they don't travel physically, so there is no time concept there. So Z Prime is just traveling across hyperspace, exploring a new galaxy. He's not excited and all that because he knows he cannot explore all of the galaxies and that. So he's just going through his reveries. So suddenly he feels this wispy tendrils of another mind, because another mind is trying to communicate. So they spark a conversation and they ask which galaxy you are coming from. So Z Prime asks the other person, which galaxy are you coming from? He says they call it just the galaxy, and Z Prime says, okay, we also call our galaxy a galaxy because it doesn't matter anymore, right? He could be a trillion galaxies away, or he could be in the next planet, or he could be just in the next pod where he's suspended. It doesn't really matter. So they are having this conversation, and while they are having this conversation, suddenly the other person, his name is D Sub Woon or something. So he says, no, not all galaxies are the same. And Z Prime asks why. So D Sub Woon says, there is one galaxy where humanity originated. That is definitely different, right? It's not same as the other galaxies. Z Prime has never thought about this, okay? He never thought that all this started in a single galaxy. So he wants to go to that galaxy. So he asks this universal AC. Now it's a universal AC. He asks the universal AC, I want to get to this galaxy where humanity originated. So suddenly everything zooms out and the galaxies shrink. This mind travels from wherever it was to the galaxy where humanity originated, and it is accompanied by the other mind. Okay, so this is how conversations are happening then. So it goes to this galaxy, and it just looks like every other galaxy, but it's very special because humanity originated. And D Sub Woon asks Universal AC, can you show us the star in which humanity originated? And it answers, the star has gone nova. There is only a white dwarf left. So the star is no more. Okay, the star is dead. So this fact suddenly disturbs Z Prime. It's like the place of our origin has died. So eventually all these stars run out. So again they go to the same problem. It goes through the same process, and it again comes to the same answer. Insufficient data for a meaningful answer. Okay, so the story ends there, and the next story starts with a capital M man. So here, after billions of years, there is no concept of individuality. Okay, there is only one single being, which is called the capital M man. There are trillions of ageless bodies that are suspended in pods, and all our mentality or all our individual mental opinions are only this opinions of a single being, this single capital man, right? So this capital man is again worried about the universe is dying because there is no concept of time, and the individual bodies, the physical bodies, are tightly integrated with the computer. So their physical activities are governed by algorithms which are incorrectable. So they just don't have any question to solve. The only question that they're trying to solve is entropy is increasing, and what do we do about it? So obviously this man asks the same question to the cosmic AC, and it does not have an answer. It says insufficient data for meaningful answer, and it says then collect additional data. The being says, the man says, collect additional data. And it says, I've been collecting it for billions of years, and I don't have all this data, is not, doesn't seem to help. So it says, okay, we shall wait. Okay. And all these stars are starting to die, and every time a star dies, all these bodies are getting dismantled, and these individual mental bodies are becoming a part of this AC. Okay, this super intelligence. So they are just trying to they are just integrating into this supercomputer's mind. Okay, so this happens, and the last mind, the last individual mind, before it sheds its boundary and becomes the part of this AC, it asks the same question, and it still doesn't have an answer. It still says the same. So this happens, that there are no more human beings, but still there is this artificial intelligence, or this automatic computer, which is still alive. This intelligence is still alive, and there is no material or energy body, right? It is only this hyperspace intelligence. This intelligence is still alive because it still hasn't cracked the problem of entropy. It still has this last question. Only after solving this last question, it can shed itself, it can release its own consciousness. Okay, so tens and trillions of years before, some drunk person asked this question, and it has to answer the question. So it does not have time problem, so it's just trying to correlate. There's no additional data to collect, so it is just trying to process all this data that it already has. And after, I don't know how many years, it actually solves the problem, right? But there is no human being to tell it to. It has the answer on how to reverse entropy, but it doesn't have a human being to talk to. So what happens is, it's not a problem really. If it demonstrates how to reverse entropy, as a consequence, human beings will again be formed. But we'll never know whether those human beings will know that this is how they were formed, and we'll never know whether it's a recursion. So this is what we, after reading this book, four of us read this book on the same day. So after reading this book, we had a discussion. We had a lot of questions. We were sent on different trips, and it was amazing when we spoke after reading the book. We all had different takeaways from the book, right? We also have that recorded, so we'll share that with you guys soon, right?